She'll never truly fit in, Julian, mark my words. The Waterford Hotel's ballroom shimmered, a dizzying display of wealth. My stomach dropped as I scanned the seating chart, my name conspicuously absent. Laughter echoed, a cruel symphony to my mounting dread. Each crystal chandelier seemed to magnify my outsider status. My hands trembled, but I forced a smile. Inside, I was screaming. Outside, I remained composed. A text flashed, deal closed. You did it, ever feel like you're just waiting for karma? Subscribe for more satisfying revenge. Trust me, you do not want to miss how this plays out. Let's just say the tables turn. Big time. August 12, 2019 rehearsal dinner humiliation. The missing place card was no accident. Camille, Julian's sister, offered a saccharine apology, her eyes betraying calculated amusement. Oh, Ava, darling, must have slipped my mind. Do squeeze in somewhere. The condescension dripped like poison. Christmas 2019. The Graves family gathered in their Aspen estate. Julian received a vintage Rolex, a family heirloom. I was presented with a generic gift card. While they toasted Julian's future, I felt invisible. The air crackled with unspoken judgments. The final straw arrived on Julian's birthday, March 3, 2020. An exclusive partnership opportunity arose, but it was only for Julian. Elaine Graves, with an almost apologetic smile, told me, "Darling, these things are best left to the men, you know." Julian remained silent. As I watched him accept the offer, a cold resolve hardened within me. This was not about love or partnership, it was about power. I would show them all. A text flashed, first investment secured. Thank you, Elaine. My silence became my weapon. No tears, no arguments, only the quiet hum of relentless work. I channeled the sting of their snubs into fuel. My consultancy blossomed, a deceptive facade for my true ambition. I remember cold, sleepless nights fueled by lukewarm coffee. The weight of impending failure pressed down. My tiny apartment, dimly lit, felt like a prison. Yet, each line of code written, each deal brokered, was a brick in my fortress. November 2020, I secured a major tech acquisition, quietly surpassing Julian's annual income. The Graves family, oblivious, continued their dismissals. Ava's little hobby, Camille called it, during their summer yacht party. No suspicion, no awareness, no respect. By 2021, my portfolio was a force. I invested in sustainable energy, earning massive profits. The irony: the Graves family's oil holdings were slowly losing value. The shift was subtle, almost imperceptible to them. The wedding loomed, a celebration of their continued dominance. It was time. I activated my contingency plan, a meticulously crafted financial maneuver. Donald Westbrook, their most valuable asset, was poised to pull out. During the rehearsal dinner, Julian approached me, a flicker of guilt in his eyes. "Ava, are you all right? You've been distant." I smiled, a cold, practiced expression. "Never better, Julian, just waiting for the main event." The wedding day dawned, bright and deceptively cheerful. Sunlight streamed through the Waterford's windows, illuminating the extravagant floral arrangements. It was a scene of picture-perfect bliss, masking the impending storm. I sipped my coffee, reviewing Westbrook's confirmation. Execute. My phone vibrated. Done, my heart hammered. Years of planning, countless sacrifices, all culminating in the single moment. I touched my necklace, a small, unassuming piece of jewelry. Inside, a miniature drive held all the evidence, all the transactions, all the receipts. My insurance policy. Later, during the champagne toast, I saw my sister. We hadn't spoken since my sudden departure. "Mom has been ill, I had to see her." I made my way through the crowd. I could feel the weight of their stares. The whispers followed me, a constant reminder of my failure. I closed my eyes. Not anymore. I saw my sister Sarah, face etched with worry. She grabbed my hands. "Ava, I heard, are you okay?" "I'm better than okay, Sarah. Mom wants to see you, she's been asking." A wave of guilt washed over me. I hadn't been there, not for her, not for Mom. Now I could be. "I'll come soon." Her eyes held skepticism and hope. The orchestra began. Julian watched us from across the room, confusion etched on his face. Soon he would understand. Too late. I raised my glass, a silent toast to the future. Then it happened. A collective gasp rippled through the ballroom. All eyes turned to a frantic figure near the entrance, Julian's cousin, clutching his phone, face contorted in horror. "Graves Holdings, plummeting." The words hit like a physical blow. Camille's radiant smile faltered. Her carefully constructed facade crumbled, revealing the raw panic beneath. Her hand flew to her throat, a strangled sound escaping her lips. What? What did you say? Gregory Graves, patriarch and king of the castle, stiffened. His face, usually ruddy with confidence, paled visibly. He barked an order, his voice cracking. Check the markets, now. Another wave of murmurs, louder this time, laced with fear. Stock tickers flashed on strategically placed screens, confirming the devastating news. Graves Holdings, once a symbol of unshakable power, was in freefall. I watched, a strange calm washing over me. The years of humiliation, the sting of rejection, the burning desire for justice, all converged in this single, exquisite moment. The room spun. The crystal chandeliers threatened to crash to the floor. The champagne fizzed, suddenly tasting like ash. Gregory's face turned ashen. He stumbled, grasping for support. Westbrook, he pulled out. His voice was a hoarse whisper, barely audible above the rising cacophony. Camille, her perfect makeup streaked with tears, rounded on Julian. You said everything was fine, you promised. Julian stood frozen, his face a mask of disbelief. He stared at the screens, then at his father, then finally his gaze locked on mine. A flicker of understanding of dawning horror sparked in his eyes. He knew. I met his gaze, unflinching. Hello, Julian. The air crackled with tension. His lips parted as if to speak, but no sound came out. He looked from me to the chaos unfolding around him, the pieces clicking into place. My hand, which shook only moments ago, was still. It seems there has been a small adjustment to the seating chart, I said, my voice carrying clearly through the now hushed room. Perhaps, Camille, you can now squeeze me in. The silence hung heavy, punctuated only by Camille's ragged sobs. Gregory, recovering slightly, fixed me with a glare. What have you done? He demanded, his voice laced with venom. I raised an eyebrow, feigning innocence. Done. I'm simply attending a wedding rehearsal. You laughed then, you're not laughing now. The thought gave me a small, sharp pleasure. Elaine rushed to Gregory's side, then turned to me, her usual cool facade cracking. Ava, please, this is a misunderstanding. Surely we can fix this. She tried a weak smile, the one that used to make me feel small. Perhaps, a partnership, we could use your expertise. I tilted my head, considering expertise. The word dripped with irony. My expertise is rather expensive these days, Elaine, and I'm not sure Graves Holdings has the collateral. Julian finally found his voice, a desperate plea. Ava, talk to me. What do you want? I met his gaze, my expression unreadable. What did I want? The question echoed in my mind. Not love, not forgiveness, just acknowledgement. I wanted you to see me, Julian. To truly see me, not the person you and your family tried to mold me into. Silence. My most potent weapon. Let him stew. Camille, mascara smeared, approached, her voice trembling. Ava, please, this wedding, my future. I cut her off, my voice flat. Your future was built on a foundation of cruelty and exclusion. Perhaps this is a good opportunity to rebuild on something more solid. Gregory, his face now crimson, stepped forward, his voice a snarl. You think you've won? This isn't over, Ava. We'll rebuild, we always do. Will you? I asked, my voice soft. Or will you simply repeat the same mistakes? The world has changed, Gregory, and you, my dear, are obsolete. I let the silence linger, watching the realization dawn in his eyes. One line. Enjoy the view from the bottom. The initial financial blow was devastating, but the Graves family was nothing if not resilient. Within hours, Gregory orchestrated a PR blitz, attempting to minimize the damage and reassure investors. Julian, desperate to regain control, sought emergency loans, leveraging every connection he had. Camille, ever the opportunist, explored a strategic rebranding of her image, attempting to garner sympathy and distance herself from the family's woes. They were scrambling, fighting to stay afloat. Little did they know, the real anchor lay hidden beneath the surface. 2 days later, as Gregory was holding a tense meeting with his remaining board members, a junior associate interrupted. Mr. Graves, we've just received a notice from the City Council regarding the waterfront development project. Gregory scoffed. What about it? It's been approved for months. They're revoking the permits, sir, citing environmental concerns. The associate swallowed, visibly nervous. Apparently, they discovered protected wetlands on the site. Significant fines are also being levied. The room went silent. The waterfront development was the cornerstone of their recovery plan. It represented billions in potential revenue, a lifeline in their current crisis. Without it, Graves Holdings was dead in the water. Gregory's face contorted in rage. Environmental concerns, this is absurd. We've been through all the compliance checks. There's more, sir, the associate continued, his voice barely above a whisper. The City Council is also reviewing Olive Graves Holdings' existing permits, including those for the chemical plant and the industrial park. The chemical plant, their most profitable and most environmentally questionable asset. A single investigation could expose years of regulatory violations. Gregory slumped back in his chair, his face ashen. Who is behind this? A slow smile spread across my face as I watched the news report from my Portland townhouse. The City Council's decision had been unanimous, driven by compelling evidence presented by a newly formed environmental advocacy group. The group's primary benefactor, Harbor Ethics Partners, my firm. The wetlands they were protecting were no accident. I had strategically purchased the land adjacent to the development site months ago, knowing its ecological significance. The environmental concerns were legitimate, meticulously documented, and impossible to ignore. I had not only pulled the rug from under their feet, but also built a legal, airtight case that left them powerless. That wasn't all. I sent Julian a text with a link to a press release. Harbor Ethics Partners acquires controlling stake in the First National Bank of Boston. The First National Bank of Boston, the Graves family's primary lender. The bank that held all their mortgages, all their lines of credit. I now controlled their debt. The leverage was complete. The revelation of this additional layer of control sent shockwaves through the Graves family. Camille, who had briefly entertained hopes of salvaging her social standing, was now facing eviction. Julian, realizing the full extent of his misjudgment, stared blankly at his phone, his expression a mix of horror and despair. Gregory, his empire crumbling around him, was utterly defeated. He was trapped. I picked up my phone and dialed my mom. "Hey, Mom," I said, voice filled with warmth. "I'm coming home." Months blurred into seasons, marked by the steady growth of Harbor Ethics and the Graves family's decline. Their attempts to reconnect were pathetic, a desperate scramble for relevance. Julian's calls went unanswered, Camille's emails deleted. Only Gregory's occasional, thinly veiled threats elicited a response, a polite reminder of his outstanding debt. I channeled my energy into Harbor Ethics, building a team dedicated to responsible investing. The modest townhouse felt brighter, infused with purpose. The sleepless nights were now fueled by passion, not resentment. I focused on family and self-care. Looking back, the revenge wasn't the victory, it was the freedom. Freedom from their judgment, freedom from their expectations, freedom to define my own worth. The Graves family faded into a distant memory. Now there was only my future. I stood on my porch, Portland city lights twinkling like distant stars. The air was crisp, carrying the scent of pine and rain. I smiled, I had found my power. And that was a freedom no one could take away. Ever feel underestimated? Time to flip the script. Share this if you crave a win. True success, building yourself up, not tearing others down. Now go create your legacy.